Welcome to Frequency, for women expanding into their next level selves and moving with intuitive clarity and planetary alignment as they do. I'm Caprice, identity mentor, astrologist, and intuitive guide. Your frequency is your energetic signature, how you think, decide, and move. It's your authentic self dialed in. Every episode serves to sharpen that frequency, expanding your capacity to hold your vision and take bold, authentic action towards your manifestations. High standards, high signal, high frequency. Welcome back to the pod. I want to talk about something that I think the Sagittarius full moon at the end of this month is bringing up very strongly. And that is the difference between what is familiar and what is actually aligned. I want to talk about the astrology. I want to talk about the energetics of now. I want to talk about how this is asking you for a new identification, a new way to identify yourself to you in the mirror, but also to the universe, so that the universe can match you with that identification. So I also want to backtrack here because we need reminders. 2026 is a 1 year in numerology. Uno, the beginning of a whole new cycle. It's an identifying year. It's a year that sets the tone for a whole new cycle. What you do this year, how you invest yourself, how you are curious and hungry and move outside of the norm, your norm. What was your norm? How you move outside of that norm is assisting you to expand the next layer of your world and your reality and how you're satisfied in it and how you are more fully expressed. So that's the tone of this year. And let's talk about the arena that we're in right now. Now, when we have a full moon, what's really going on is that this is a conversation in a system of polarity or opposition, literally opposition, in that the moon is opposing the sun. There's a straight line of communication between these heavenly bodies, right? But I say polarity on a central theme because a full moon can only occur within this karmic cord between two archetypes. And those archetypes are sister signs, right? They share a common ground, and their expression of that common ground differs a bit. So let's talk about how we are in Gemini season and what the full moon in Sagittarius does for us. The sun and Uranus are conjunct in Gemini right now. Uranus in Gemini is a 7-year revolution. This is something I talked about on my TikTok. I believe that I have a podcast episode exactly about that you can pull up. But this is a 7-year cycle of Uranus and Gemini. Gemini is an air sign. It is so curious, so hungry, so thirsty, so fast moving, so ADHD. But it thrives. Its currency is circulation of information. And when Uranus, which rules Aquarius, which is the last air sign, the one closest to source, the messenger of source and the watcher, guardian of the people, when you have Uranus and the sun Kazemi in Gemini, this is a lot of air sign power. So we are talking lightning bolt, aha moments, genius, intuitive intelligence, and the gift of new ideas and new information, specifically channeled into your identity, because this is a year of identity. This is a 1 year in numerology. Reminder, everyone, you have a personal numerology number for the year that you're in. It changes per year. It works on a 1 through 9 cycle. And then there's a collective, right? Because we can calculate the collective year. And so 2026 is a 1 year. And that is a year of needed raw power, willpower to forge identity. It is an identifying year. It sets the tone for the next cycle of 1 through 9. I mean, that's pretty big, right? And it's not about perfection, but it's about taking action in different directions. It is about the hunger, the thirst for information, quite similar to the time that we're in astrologically right now, and for leaning into what is unfamiliar, outside the bounds of you and what you previously did, who you previously were, how you previously manifested, what you previously manifested, and moving into another spiral of growth. And so this year, astrologically and within numerology, is about claiming an identity. And all of the astrology is just assisting that. From the nodes of destiny, our eclipses, to the huge planetary movements that we've had, the transits, they have restationed themselves, a lot of planets. I'm going to be talking about Saturn coming up next, and how that's a big one for everyone who's going through their Saturn return. I digress. So this is a year of identifying the self. And when we have a full moon in Sagittarius, it's always about belief systems, because Sagittarius is the philosopher. It's the seeker. It's the one who is hungry enough and courageous enough to go outside its known territory. It releases the limitations of what it's known and where it's been and how it has expressed. And it is hungry to find more meaning and deeper meaning. And so it is tied to higher wisdom. It is tied to personal philosophy. It's tied to relocation, travel, again, exiting the known world. It's the exit point of like Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. It's like, okay, well, I must go. Who's that man online who has, I always think of the clip of that one man, and he has a graph on a marker board, and he's like, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. That's Sagittarius nature. That fuck around and find out energy is present. She's in the room with us. And when we have the full moon, it's like, yes, we are releasing, but releasing what? And this is why you need to know your birth chart and like use it as a tool for magnetic timing. That's what I use it for. That's why I read charts for people. And I tell people how to use them. And I hope that you all are using your charts for magnetic timing. This is the time to let go of what does not spark you joy within your own personal philosophy, within the identity of you and your approach to life, and release the limitations on exploring what the new chapter might be and exploring outside of the rules, exploring outside of how you operated previously. Even if it was good, it doesn't need to be bad for you to evolve. It can be good and you can up level from that. And you get what I'm saying? It takes us out of familiar territory. And all of this energy, Uranus and the Sun and Gemini, having this conversation with the moon in Sagittarius, is there to make us uncomfortable, take us out of known territory, and ask us, where have you had unwavering allegiance to something that is familiar, and you're feeling the friction right now because it's actually not what's aligned for you now and moving forward into the future of you. Because a lot of people stay so attached to identities and behaviors and relationships, emotional patterns, routines, versions of themselves, simply because they're familiar, not because they're true anymore. And familiarity is really about repetition. And this is why routines that are rooted in repetition of magnifying your frequency, of building a new identity are so powerful, and they do take time because neuroplasticity, XYZ, but repetition creates the norm, creates what's familiar, whether or not it's true. AKA, there's so many different bubbles of reality all over the world, geographically, per person, per neighborhood, per household, per mental individual space. I find it fascinating because I think all those bubbles can be popped, and I love how they form, and I believe in popping and forming new ones for yourself. And so just because it's familiar doesn't mean that you need to continue in that direction. Sagittarius energy is very much tied to expansion, liberation. So is Uranus. So is Gemini in a way, but very much Uranus, Pluto, the North Node, the full moon in Sagittarius. They're all saying it's time to liberate and be in the most authentic expression of yourself. And so when we have this really honest conversation and we're prompted to, we're shaken up, really, we're rattled so that what's false can become really obvious, and you can see how you're just hanging on to it for no good reason. Not even, it's because it's familiar. It's not because it's comfortable. Because when you think of the highest expression of yourself and the most comfortable that you could feel in life, is it 100% everything that you have going on right now? Like when you think of true comfort, the comfort in living through your values and receiving exactly what you need and expressing and showing up exactly how you want to express and show up, is that where you are right now? Probably not. There's probably a tweak or two or a lot or like a mega, overhaul that needs to occur there. So we're having this conversation at the full moon at the end of this month. This is higher perspective. This is expansion. This is liberation. And it's about what happens when you finally become honest about what no longer feels aligned with who you are becoming and the most refined and polished version of yourself. I think one of the hardest parts of growth is realizing that expansion feels unfamiliar, and then we hesitate, we question, we dig our nails into what is known, again, even if it's not true, even if it's not comfortable, even if you think you deserve better, you will we have this need for certainty. That very human need for certainty keeps us stuck within identities and, again, environments and within contracts that are no longer for us. So this is a year of contracts being rewritten. They're up for an audit. They're up for an edit. They're expired. Your identification is expired this year. And the universe is like, I need your form of ID so that I can match the frequency of your sense of self and authentic self. And the year is saying, okay, we're forming a new identification for you. What's actually happening is that your nervous system, your identity, and your emotional patterns are still attached to an older version of yourself, a version that may have once protected you or comforted you or made sense. It made sense for a certain chapter of your life, and it doesn't anymore. In fact, and I bring this up often because I see it so often in my clients, but you could be in a new version of your life and wondering why something isn't clicking into place. It's because you're having the expectations and you have the lens and you have the perspective and you're trying to go by the book of you, and that book is dusty it's outdated. The lens needs to be cleared. The mirror needs to be wiped down. Things need to be rearranged so that you can see where you've arrived, celebrate it, and think, and what's beyond this? What more can I bring into my world beyond this? Your next chapter requires a different relationship with yourself. And so that's different standards, different decisions, different emotional patterns, different patterns in general, and different expectations for your life and for yourself. And if you continue choosing only what feels familiar, you are blocking the expansion point. You are recreating the same reality, even if consciously you're saying, you're so aware that you want something different, but you're using that former operating system and you're going by an old book. You recreate it. There's not, we're at that point, it's about, again, identity congruence, right? There's so much, there's so much information available right now. And right now, with Uranus and Gemini, this year is very air oriented, and it's an information highway intersection. It's huge. And it's fast. It's like fast cars and like lots of info. It's like music blaring. It's really, it's exciting, but it can be overwhelming. And in life, in this modern life, we are so bombarded with information, right? Being on our phones, la-di-da. We have access to so many different things. We're consuming, and that consumption is affecting our frequency, our energetic code, our energetic vibration, to the point where you can kind of stop hearing yourself so clearly, maybe the way that you did before. So this full moon feels less about becoming someone new. I want erase that. It's not about becoming someone new. I feel so different than I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, big time. And I previously had felt so rooted in my identity at the time. That was the truth for then. Right now, I feel like the most polished version of myself that is possible up until this point. And I only expect to become more polished moving here on out. It's not about becoming someone new. It's more about the truest essence of you, the most honest, authentic frequency of you outside of social conditioning. That's the North Node in Aquarius. That's Pluto in Aquarius, outside of the conditioning. You, left to your own devices with your curious mind and not too much external input, who is there? What are you hungry for? What do you feel? What's alive in you? Who is that, right? So at the end of this month, there's this energy that is stripping away what no longer feels true, what is also no longer exciting. Not really. It might be familiar, but it's not true. It might be familiar, but it's not you anymore. It might be familiar, but it's no longer exciting, and becoming more willing to move toward a life that feels more aligned, even if at first it is unfamiliar. And you might not even be recognizable. And that's okay, because familiar isn't always aligned, and aligned won't always feel familiar immediately. If you've been listening to Frequency and feeling like you want more direct clarity, support, or guidance around your own life and current season, private recalibration sessions are the way to work with me directly. Sometimes one clear conversation changes everything. These sessions are designed to help you see what's actually happening beneath the surface of your current situation. The patterns, distortions, emotional blocks, your timing, or subconscious dynamics that are affecting your perspective and your magnetic decision making. Through intuitive insight, astrology, energetic recalibration, and grounded guidance, we work directly with what's ready to shift so you can move forward with greater alignment and precision. Private sessions are available individually or for deeper support through the 3-session recalibration series. Head to the show notes or frequency.co, that's frqnc.co, to book with me. Thank you for tuning into Frequency. If this episode sparked something in you, I would love to know. Reach out to me. Everything's in the show notes. Until next time.